Oh, hey guys and girls. It's your good buddy Jody Sharp from Superflies for Super Guys. And today I want to talk about articulated spines. So, if you've tied any game changers or popper changers, this is a popper changer. Has a popper head, foam tail, stays afloat, wiggles on the top of the surface, so it is very floaty. If you want to check out another video I've tied about popper changers, the catching of the fish on a popper changer, it'll be posted. I think I'll put the link in the description so you can go check that out. Definitely a cool video. I caught lots of rock bass that day. Rock bass love these, so if you want to catch a lot of rock bass, this is for sure a one. I have caught perch on there, but not as many perch because it's topwater bait. So they will come up and take it, but it's not really meant for them. Sunfish love the popper changer. I've caught sunfish on it. Depends on what kind of area you're fishing in. I have caught bass on it, but for sure rock bass. Rock bass can't help themselves when it comes to the popper changer. They'll come up and take that quite willingly. But I want to talk to you about the spines, the making of the spines. So you can buy pre-made spines. You can get them off of Temu. You can get them all over the place. Let's see. This was a 50 pack of 15 millimeter spines, and they're quite heavy. They're really strong metal. So if you were fishing stuff like muskie and pike and stuff, if you buy a pre-made spine, they're going to be quite heavy, and they're a little different. Let me take one out and show you. So they've got like a round head. I know it's a little blurry on the camera here, but they got a round head on one end, and then they've got another round head with a little piece that you connect them together. So that is the principle of a spine. However, another thing I bought off of Temu was looping pliers. This is a pair of looping pliers. All right, as you can see, they have a round metal shaped here, and then the end goes to a spike. And this is for making your own loops, metal loops. But what I like to do, I always buy a ton of Christmas ornament hangers for your Christmas tree. They tend to be very strong. There's different textures, and there's coated or not. I always look for the ones that are really tin coated, so that they don't rust. And but they come in different strengths and stuff. But I use these a lot. They're very strong. And the good thing about this is you can make your own spine with this, and you can adjust the size according to your needs. Right? And what you do is you put your wire into the pliers, and then when you pinch them down, as you see, it bends around, and you can take your fingers in and just give it a little pinch, like so, and you can just twist that back and forth, and it makes a metal loop. And if you turn your wire to the other end, you can make your loop. So you want to make the loop, instead of going this way, now you want to make it this way. So you can take it like so, and now you have your own little shank, your own little spine. And then you just trim it up like so. And basically, now you can make them as long as you want, as many as you want, and you can taper them down as you go from the head down. You can make them all the same size. You can adjust them to anything you want. And let me just go out of focus here for a minute. I'm just going to adjust my camera focus because I don't think that you guys were able to see that quite so well. Okay, so now you can see the loop. So let me try that one more time. Let me show you once again. We'll take another Christmas ball hanger, and you can just straighten it out with your fingers like so. And then when you take your looping pliers, you decide how long you want. I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. So you put it in your looping pliers like this. And as you bend it, it bends around the hook. And then you give it a little pinch, right? And then what you do is you just curve your thing left and right. And it'll make your loop. Okay? And then if you're making... you decide how long you want it. It could be a couple millimeters, it could be a few more. Then you just go to the other end, like so, and you do it the opposite way. So you do it like this. All right. And then when you cut the wire, all right. Now you have your loops, and then your loops just attach, just slide in like that. And as you can see, because you did it one way this way and one way this way, when you loop it in, you make a spine, and the spine is what makes it go. Now, the other thing you're going to want to do is attach a tail. So we're going to take a piece of wire, and we're just going to make a loop, and instead of making double loops, we've made it just to come straight out the end. Now the reason you've done this is because when we attach it to either end, so one end you will attach to the head of your fly. So one end, when you tie your fly, you're going to tie this down to the hook. Tie it into the hook, and that's going to attach your whole fly, all the spines down, right? And the other one we're going to want for the tail. So you're going to take your wire, and you're going to make another one of those. And when you attach that one on, that will be for your tail. So usually I plan out this, I tie all this, or I make all the spines, I'll bend them, and I decide how long I want the fly to be. Right? So you can make it, you can shorten it down. You can make shorter spines but more of them, or you can have just the amount of spines. But depending on the material you're tying with, I make a lot of my flies with wool dubbins, so it doesn't really matter the length of the spine or how many I put. The more you put, obviously the more wiggle action, like you'll be able to get more of a wiggle action. But even if you only have 3 spines, and I'll show you on, let me show you on. So this is a smaller popper changer. This only has 3 spines, but those 3 spines are still going to allow that fly to really, really wiggle in the water. As you can see, it's got a lot of wiggle action. So whether you have 3 spines or 6 spines, it's the action, and you know what, you can play around with those. That you can play around with that, figure that out. You can switch up your colors, right? So here's an orange one. This is a very popular color. This is a very attractive color. You can go with a pink, right? So you can do pink popper changer. And if you want to go a different route, so you can do more of a Ned rig style fly. So when instead of tying a foam top, you can put the foam tail like you do on a popper changer, but then when you get to the head of the fly, if you put dumbbell weights or a heavy bead chain, this is a very heavy bead chain, this actually takes the fly down to the bottom, and the tail waves up in the air like this. So it kind of looks like a worm wiggling on the bottom, or a foraging bait fish, or some sort of foraging creature. And as you jig it, it jigs up, and then it comes back down. It jigs up, and you only need little jigs. You don't have to like go crazy. You can do little jigs, jig it up, jig it down, and as this is wiggling in the air, the fish will come, and fish that'll pick up like a smallmouth bass or a largemouth bass or a perch, they'll come in and take it right off the bottom, or a pickerel. And again, you can do them in any color. That was a worm color. You can do it again. Here's a hot pink one, right? So very, very functional kinds of flies. Here's another type of fly that I've come up with. Right, so here's a little wiggle butt fly. I don't have a name for it yet. I've only kind of made these recently, but again, you just do one of those. Instead of the full double loops, you just do one loop, and then you can tie the tail. When you put it into your vise, you can tie the tail, and then you use another straight loop. So just from straight loop to straight loop into the body, and then you tie them both down, and then you tie your materials on, and then you can just have an attachment like that. And of course, the hook is on these flies are in the head. Now this is a very small fly, about the size of the tip of my pinky. Most small panfish can eat this. So, great for sunfish, great for bluegills, crappie, perch. A lot of fish will eat this. And this fly, because of the wire in the back, it sinks. The air pockets in the eyes, because I use Google Eyes, allows this to float. But the tail, because there's wire on the tail, it slowly sinks. So this is a very slow, kind of neutrally buoyant fly. So it sinks very, very slow. And when you let it sink for 5-10 seconds, and then you start twitching it, it has that beautiful buggy, twitchy abdomen, and the fish just love it. So those are some ways that you can use articulated spines. Of course, I got a mess going on here. What I wanted to show you. So another way to use an articulated spine. Here's another foamy one. So this is a topwater foam bug, like a centipede. So this is a crazy centipede, I call it. And fish love the color pink and orange. So this one, he completely floats on the top, and he's just, when he's wiggling on the top, those fish just go nuts for that. Again, do them in many different colors. Here's a very black one. You know, there's a pink one. So here's an orange one, an actual centipede size. So here's like the size of a garden centipede, right? So very natural. I've caught lots of fish on these, especially this orange one. So that's another thing you can do with it. Here's a cross between sort of a popper changer, and I put a lip on this one. So when this one is going on the water, it actually is a diver. So it swims probably about, you know, the more you move it, the deeper it goes. It goes probably, you know, 10, 15, 20 centimeters below the surface of the water. And it's got a very reflective belly, because I've put a reflective belly. And then on each segment I've tied feathers and a little bit of rabbit fur on the tail. And this fly has been one of my greatest bass catchers. Largemouth bass love this fly. It's about the length of my finger, and it's just a fantastic fly. Again, with the spines, so lots of wiggly action. Very, very strong, very strong, and yeah. Here's another bug I've made using the articulated system. So I made a double loop for the body, for the head and the thorax, and then for the abdomen I just brought it down through and tied it down on a hook. So there's a very wiggly jiggly bass bug on the top. Floats flat but wiggles like, you know, like this. A lot of action, catches a lot of fish. And the last thing I wanted to show you guys is this. This is, if you want, I've designed this little system if you want to do drop shotting with your flies. You know, if you make a lot of minnow flies or a lot of different flies that you want to drop shot versus fish with your fly rod, you can make your own little system. So it attaches your line to your top line, your bottom to your drop shot weight, and then off to the side, this little T side here is where you attach a line to your fly that you're jigging, and you can just put it, you know, as far as you want, a couple of inches, a foot, whatever. That's up to you. But this is if you're drop shotting and you want to have your fly off to the side and add action to a fly like a minnow or something like that, you can create this little system. And I'll do a separate video for that. But basically today I just wanted to talk about the spines themselves and creating your own spines. Like I said, you'll need a looping plier, you'll need a snipping plier, and you can create your own articulated flies. And again, some of the ones I use the most are you know, popper changers, game changers if you want to tie your own game changers, or again the Ned Rig style changer. And any other bug you can create. You know, made this minnowish. You know, so I did a straight one loop shank, and then I attached it onto the hook, dubbed it with some red and gray dubbing, and you got a very minnowish pattern. So that's it, guys. That's what I wanted to show you. the making of the spines, articulated spines. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Yeah, so don't forget, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And join the Superflies for Super Guys team or family. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Keep your fly on the water. Straight line, tight lines, and in my case, fish on Canada. All right, bye for now.